Good morning to you. It's Daybreak at iFiber One News Radio. Morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
Well, we got a great guest in studio to talk about the Red Cross. It's Bonnie Bush, the Executive Director of the South Sound region for American Red Cross. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to meet you.
Same here.
Talk with you as March is Red Cross Month, and Red Cross Giving Day is on the 27th of the month, and lots of opportunities and ways that you can help out with the Red Cross as they started back in 1881. Clara Barton and gang getting ready to dedicate to serving people in need, and the first congressional charter turned around the turn of the century in 1900. 90% of the Red Cross workforce are volunteers. Tell us a little bit about the Red Cross locally in the South Sound, and what are some ways that we can, just as average citizens, get out there and help the Red Cross?
Oh, well, thank you for asking that and giving me the opportunity to talk about the Red Cross. So we've got so many opportunities locally. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about is that we respond to single home fires, just like we would with a large disaster. And so that's happening in the South Sound on average every 48 hours.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. And we do the same kind of thing. We provide for emergency food, shelter, clothing. We have volunteers that stand ready. They're on call, and they've been trained to go out and provide the comfort, first of all, the emotional support, because one of the things our clients tell us is that, gee, I was just in such shock, I wouldn't have known what to do.
Yeah.
What my next steps were. So our volunteers are trained to go out and help them with those emergency needs until their insurance can kick in. And then they also walk them through the next steps of, what they need to do, how to, contact their insurance and whatever else. We also have folks that we call caseworkers that then do the follow-up with them and call them several days later, make sure everything's going okay with their insurance, and also just connect them to other community resources that might be helpful to them.
What sort of training is involved for the volunteers? As I can imagine the sensitivity when it comes to these types of events and larger events. For folks, you say, boy, I want to make a difference and I want to get started. What are those steps?
First step is simply going to redcross.org, filling out a volunteer application. We do a background check on folks because they are dealing with sensitive situations and sensitive information. So there's that. And then we really train everyone. You don't need to come with specific skills for the vast majority of positions. We train you up on that. And it's blended learning. Some of it's online, some of it's in person. You take defensive driving so you can drive our cars. That's a basic one to do. We also have an emergency response vehicle that is the big truck that you sometimes see in large disasters that go out and take food to people. So, you can do that kind of role and be trained up how to drive the van. But training-wise, unless you're going to be in a specific kind of position like mental health support, we ask for licensed health professionals.
Sure.
So those are folks that usually are running their own practices, their masters prepared, and then those are the folks that we might deploy and do deploy to like mass casualty events, and they are there just to help people through the emotional. And we deploy them to hurricanes and so forth, too, because there's still that emotional part that people are trying to get through.
We're on, and I believe if it wasn't today, it's within the last couple of days. 5 years ago was the Oso landslide, and the amount of response that not only the Red Cross offered up to that community up there, but those are just some of the main emergencies that you likely associate with volunteer groups like Red Cross. Also blood drives and blood donation. I see that at the Capitol Mall next Wednesday, and then June, coming up in June, and in August there's a couple of dates for blood drives there at the Capitol Mall locally here. So there's a lot of other opportunities. What got you started with the Red Cross? How'd
Well,
you
it
find
w-
yourself here?
Yeah, it was just a fortuitous timing, I think. I worked for a large healthcare system for over 16 years in the organizational development field. And when I was decided that I wanted something new, I still thought I wanted to find a place with a good humanitarian mission.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was on the board of the Red Cross in the South Sound, and connected me with this opening. And he said, I think you would be great at it, and I'd put in a good word for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the Red Cross.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you can't get a better humanitarian mission than that. So
Yeah.
I got kind of chills when he told me the opening was there. So that's how it happened. And yeah.
That was my first job in high school, was volunteering at the American Red Cross in San Francisco.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was kind of administrative stuff. I remember it was a campaign of some sort, and it was envelopes and mailing stuff out, but all sorts of different things people can do. But
Yes.
you guys offered classes also, right, and certification, like CPR
We
training?
do. Now, those are, they're fee for service on those.
Sure.
So you can sign up for a class, and most of those are held in the Tacoma office. There's also, if you're an employer, you can bring our folks in to train your staff. So there's a couple different ways of getting trained.
Looks like
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say another really great, I'm glad you're bringing up these different volunteer opportunities, because there are many. And one that I really like to highlight is for our Sound the Alarm campaign. And this is one that we are installing free smoke alarms in people's homes.
Wow.
Because, of course, we've been responding to these home fires for many years, and we know that across the nation, at least one person dies every day on average due to these fires. That's a bigger death toll than Hurricane Katrina over a year span, because that
Wow.
amounts to about 2,500. Hurricane Katrina claimed about 2,000, and this happens year after year after year. So we decided we want to do something about it and help prevent. So we're installing 10-year life smoke alarms into people's homes, and two things I wanted to get out is, if you want smoke alarms in your home, if you only have the minimum code, for example, you might want some in your bedrooms, go to getasmokealarm.org and fill out the information, and we'll make arrangements to come out. And then to do that, we need volunteers that come out and, actually install it, and then they do some fire prevention education as well.
Other thing I'm looking at here on redcross.org are different ways that mobile technology has moved into the Red Cross field there with the different apps. There's Hero Care,
Yes.
First Aid, Blood, Pet First Aid. We're talking about today's Puppy Day, and so they have Pet First Aid. Also ways that you can get tornado, hurricane, earthquake information. How has that and online dispersal of information benefited the Red Cross?
I think one way that it has benefited is really helping to prepare people, because and being able to reach a younger audience too. And what we know is that we can't just respond to disasters. We need to help people be ready for them and to sustain for themselves. So here in Western Washington, of course, we've talked about the big Cascadia earthquake that will someday come, whenever that may be.
It's coming.
It's coming. And people really need to be ready to be on their own for a couple weeks. So these apps really help prepare folks, because they're preparatory. They give you all that information about what you should do to sustain yourself in the event of a big disaster, but then also within the disaster, it will say what to do, during. So I think that's one of the main things. It's really helping us get the word out about how to prevent or how to sustain yourself when disaster strikes.
And looks like kids are involved with this as well. They have a app called Monster Guard for kids ages 7 to 11, which teaches preparedness for real-life emergencies with some fun cartoon friends there, Monster Guard. And then a swim one, which is near and dear to lots of folks here in the South Sound. Oh, so much open water we have here. We want to make sure people are aware and safe in the waterways.
Yes.
So you can search for Red Cross in your app store, either with Apple or the Google Play, and find a whole host of things here at Red
And all
Cross.
free.
And all free.
Yep.
Very cool. Training and
Yep.
certification is available. Information there. Volunteer opportunities. You can get help if you become displaced from a fire. What are some other ways the Red Cross helps? That was surprising to me. The single home fires was a surprise.
Yeah,
What are
I
some
hadn't heard
other
that.
ones that people may not be aware of the services for Red Cross?
Well, here's one, and it's our oldest service, our support of the military.
Sure.
In fact, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross to support the military. And what we do there, we've got two main things that come to mind. A lot of folks are being redeployed, and they're really having the emotional, kind of reconnection struggles, getting back into the swing of normal life. So we have our licensed health professionals that lead resiliency workshops, and those are offered for free for the service member themselves as well as their families. Focused a lot on just communication skills because people tend to get closed off sometimes.
Yeah.
So there's that. But our oldest service is an emergency communication system. And this is one that if you are in the military, you know this system because every service member is briefed on it before they get deployed. And they're basically told, your family needs to call the Red Cross if there's a family emergency. And what the Red Cross does is verifies the circumstances. And then as soon as we've done that, we feed it up through the chain of command, and their commander can make a decision about what to do.
Wow.
And I hear the most poignant stories, and people tell me that things like, wow, I was on the border of Syria, didn't really even know where exactly I was. We hadn't set up camp yet. My commander came and said, your wife is having a difficult delivery. We need to send you home. And he was home within 24 hours and saw his son born. So I get chills talking about some of these stories that people tell me. But military or service members tell me this all the time. Almost all of them have a story about
Wow,
this.
that is fascinating. I had no idea that was a
Yeah.
service.
And it's our old. For some reason, I don't know why we haven't got the word out better about. We call it service to armed forces, but
Sure.
of course we have a huge military bases in Washington.
Yeah.
JBLM being one, and so we do about just in the South Sound about 1,500 of those messages a year. So you can see that's about what is that? About 3 a day.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
times I would imagine maybe there's some confidentiality, they can't really say where they're going to be deployed off to, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
commanders know, and that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And on the other side of things, I've received confirmation from commanders. They've said, thank you so much for that service. It really enables our decision making because we know it's real.
Yeah.
We know the facts has been verified. So we get it and we can make a decision.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah,
What a great
yeah.
story.
yeah.
I love that. I want to point out the store on the redcross.org.
Oh, thank you.
This is something everybody, and I'm guilty of this. We kind of, with that snow where we were snowed in for a week back
Yeah,
in mid-February, car survival kits. I mean, for less than what it would cost to take a
Yes.
small family to Burger King or something, you can have this stuff, put it in your trunk.
Yes.
Hand crank radios that are always coming in handy when you
Sure.
can't find batteries, and it actually powers your cell phones too.
Oh, yeah. You got to
So
have
a
that.
lot of it's amazing the list of stuff here people can get for all sorts of emergencies.
4-person, 72-hour food supplies, all sorts of great deals.
yeah.
Oh,
if you
very
if you
interesting.
just feel you don't have time to do it yourself, you
Yeah.
can just buy it.
And
And
you
we-
guys are the pros. You put the stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all what you need to have the caloric intake and all that stuff.
And we always recommend you have 3 kits, at least one at home, one in your car, and one at work, because those are the 3 places that you are likely to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a wonderful conversation. Bonnie, it was really nice meeting you.
So nice
Great
meeting
meeting
you
you.
too.
Thanks for coming in.
And,
Thank you for having me.
Make sure that you check out more information at redcross.org, and there are ways that you can put in the zip code and get to the local ones right in your own backyard. American Red Cross Month is March, and Giving Day is March 27th.